Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Spiritual Chat Live. This is another special edition of Spiritual Chat Live for Lyme Awareness Month 2025. Tonight, well, it's today in Australia, but tonight in the United States, my special guest is Julie Mellae. She is the author of Australian Lyme Crimes: The Global Conspiracy. This book is phenomenal. If you
Global Disgrace.
What did you say? What did I say?
Global Disgrace.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. I said my brain was
Yeah,
it's
okay.
Let's start over. She is the author of Australian Lyme Crimes: The Global Disgrace. I want to call it all kinds of things because that's what it is. But we're going to be talking about her book tonight. If you want to know about Lyme disease, if you want to know about where everything started with, how do I say this so we don't get flagged on YouTube? It's a BW, and if you don't know what that is, we'll try and figure out how to say that. You call it something else in your book. I'm gonna say it's a bioweapon. I can have my son edit it out, but it's a bioweapon, and I'm gonna call it a BW from here on out. But we're gonna talk about that and where it comes from, how it originated, what Lyme disease is, what it does to us, why we're denied medical treatment. We're going to talk about a whole slew of things. And from here on out, Julie and I are going to do Spiritual Chat Live roundtables where we're going to bring in survivors like Doug McIntyre, Rachel Vaughn, who are going to do roundtable things. We're going to bring in Jamie J's here tonight as a viewer in the audience here of Spiritual Chat Live. She's going to be coming into the roundtables too to discuss how everything ties in to Lyme, NKO, SR, all of this. It is one big web that goes over the entire world, and it will blow your mind when you start putting the puzzles together. So welcome, Julie.
Thank you for having me. I was thrilled to be asked, so shoot away, ask me questions. It's horrible in Sydney today. It's overcast and cold, but I've got my lime green skivvy on, so
well, I wore my
I noticed your green.
Lime. Yeah. It's actually got limes on it, but I know you always dress up and go to these fun events where you wear these cool hats and these very loud, very cool outfits, and I'm like, this is a Julie dress, and I'm wearing
it. It is. Look, being sick, I have to stay in an awful lot.
Yeah.
When I'm well, I book things to go to, which when I'm having a relapse, it costs me terribly. But when I'm well, I want to go out and I like to get dressed up and I like to attend events that I get invited to. It's nice to put your makeup and lippy on and go out like a normal person and feel reasonable for a day. And I do hang out with a lot of girls that are into vintage fashion and different events, and they're a great group of girls to be friends with. So we do really cool stuff when I'm well enough to do it.
And I think that's the misconception too, is because social media, you can make your life look however you want to make it look. And so when people see you posting things where you're out having fun or having a good time, they don't see, like, for me, I have to plan things, so when somebody says, hey, you want to go to lunch tomorrow? No, I don't. Because I have to plan. I don't know, am I going to sleep good tonight where I'm going to feel okay to go to lunch tomorrow? Yeah. If I can plan a lunch date, if you want to try for next week, great. Then I can plan in my mind that I'm going to go on a lunch date and I can prep for that. Or, or to do a trip or anything like that. I need months of preparation time to do something like that. Thing on the fly, those days are gone. They've been gone.
I know. I can't do it either. Yeah. I do prepare to go out. I went to the Blue Mountains yesterday, which is 2 hours away, to facilitate an art gallery just for a couple of hours. Well, I got lost going there. I got lost coming back because I was tired, you know. So the round trip took me 8 hours.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't see, and I wouldn't be able to do that. If I was to go somewhere that was 2 hours away, say I was go to the Gulf side of Florida, I would have to spend the night. And I might have to spend a couple of nights because for me to drive there and come back, because I get overstimulated. I had neurological Lyme, so I'm still dealing with the ramifications of that
Yes,
overstimulation. Just
yes,
riding in the car, or what if I get stuck in traffic? Because that's overstimulating. There's so much, and our tired is not somebody else's tired. So
no,
it's totally different. And then when you get back home, the recovery. So it's not just going to bed and sleeping for 8 hours and you're fine the next day where you can bounce back and
no,
no.
no, no.
Sometimes it could be days.
And most people think, just go home and relax, have a glass of wine. You'll be great to go tomorrow. And I think, well, no, today's planned to stay home and talk to Angie, and maybe later I'll go and have a nana nap.
Yeah. And see, I
That's
can't,
how my day works.
my body will not allow me to nap unless I'm like sick with something. I have to be like sick with have a cold or a flu, which I don't get that anymore. But like if I'm sick, then I can take a nap. But once I get up, I'm up till I go to sleep. It's really strange. Really strange.
Okay. Okay. So you don't feel like, oh, I just have to put my head down. I
I can
just
lay
need to,
down. I can lay down and rest, but I cannot go to sleep. It's very
right.
strange. It's very strange. I won't go to sleep. I've tried, and it's very frustrating because I'll be tired where I want to take a
Yeah.
nap, but I can't.
Yes.
So it's like, well, I just have to wait till I go to bed. So,
And
see,
that'll be after this interview.
oh yeah,
And
and I'll
hopefully
have
you'll
to
be
I'll
back.
have to wind down after this
Yes,
to calm
of
down so I
course.
can go to sleep.
Oh,
So
I know it's a cruel, it's the cruelest disease on the planet, I'm quite sure. The suffering that people go through on a day-to-day basis is just the cruelest thing I know of.
yes,
You
yes,
know, I know people with cancers and all the rest, and other diseases too. They've either gotten over their cancer and that was a trial, that was a tribulation, but they're good to go. We're never good to go, you know.
no,
It and the fact that it's manufactured to become even more lethal is, I mean, we know it's crimes against humanity,
yes.
um, but it is growing exponentially.
Oh, yes, 100%. You say in the beginning of your book, and this, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Dr. Kenneth, uh, is it Leitner? Leitner?
Lyme, yes.
So this quote, and I remember reading this years ago, he said, "Is in the fullness of time, the mainstream handling of chronic Lyme disease will be viewed as one of the most shameful episodes in the history of medicine because elements of the governmental and virtually the entire insurance industry have colluded to deny the disease."
Yes.
And is he the one? I can't remember which doctor said it. It was the doctor that treated AIDS patients back in the 80s. He also treated Lyme patients. And he said AIDS patients didn't want to die and they were dying. Lyme patients wanted to die and they couldn't.
Yes.
So I found that quote. I don't know if he said it or it was another doctor. I tried to find it before your interview and I couldn't. So
Might have been Dr. Barscano. He and Lina were amongst the original advocates for the cruelty of Lyme disease. And we've all wished to be dead,
yeah,
me included. Please just take me away. I can't deal with this any longer. And they didn't, and I wake up in the mornings with one eye. I go, bugger, I'm still here. Like I asked the angels to take me away last night. What are they thinking? I'm still here.
Not done yet.
They go, Julie, well, it's the work that has to be done, Petal. You'll just have to keep pushing through, pushing through, pushing through. And it's exhausting pushing through all the time.
It is. It is. Well, let's start with your story. How did you know how I mean I read your book, and by the way, her book is available on Amazon.com. How did you know that something was wrong?
I lived in the Royal National Park south of Sydney, so you would call it a state forest.
Okay.
Single mother. I moved there to raise a child in nature and water, to take him fishing, to take him hiking, to do all the good, clean air boy stuff. And a beautiful, beautiful place to be in, with water views this side, the bush or the forest, as you call it, on the other side, native animals, kangaroos, echidnas, lizards, like birds of all descriptions. It's just a wonderful place to raise a child. Well, I was an inner city girl from Sydney, and I'm used to concrete, So we go down there, and there's sandflies, and there's, people said, oh, be careful of the ticks. I went, oh yeah, whatever. Took no notice whatsoever. It didn't, it wasn't a red flag. It didn't mean anything to me because I had no knowledge whatsoever. And I ended up with this headache one night. I was on the phone talking to a girlfriend. You know how you play with your hair, and I've got this headache, and there was something sticking out of my neck, and it wouldn't come out. So I squeezed it and tried to yank it out. And what I ended up was the body of a pregnant paralysis tick that I had squeezed all the contents into my bloodstream. Still didn't realize what it was.
Yeah.
So the next morning, I'm back at work in the inner city and saw my doctor, and she went, ew. She said, that was a tick bite, and the mouthpieces are still stuck in your neck, right on a vein.
Oh.
I went, oh, yeah, we'll just get it out and I'll go to work. I still didn't bother me. For years, I felt something a bit off, but being a single mother, wrangling a boy child, I just thought it was single mother tiredness, and I was working full time.
Yeah.
And then one week, it was the week from hell. My best girlfriend died of a brain tumor, and it broke my heart. And that week, I had a near fatal car crash, and it was my fault. I made a very poor decision, and from that day onwards, my health just plummeted. So it took two very emotional, impactful experiences to set off this chain reaction in my body that had suspected something was going on, but didn't know what.
Right.
And then it was just a downward spiral.
Which is what typically happens is if you've been infected, it usually takes some kind of traumatic event, whether it's a death or an illness or a car. You had an almost fatal car crash. It's some kind of trauma to the body that will set off that reaction in the body.
Chain reaction.
Yeah, the chain reaction, which will flare everything up.
So from there on in, it was bed. It was arthritis. It was fevers. It was, nausea. It was like the plethora of symptoms that we all end up with. And I'm thinking, oh, look, it's just a flu. I'll get over it. I try to, I have always been as stoic as possible. It's a flu. I'll get over this, until a girlfriend said, you've had this flu for 3 months now. And what's with the arthritis thing? So I went, yeah, I suppose. So, still, duh. Went to the doctors, and the doctor's a girl. I'm so sorry. I did turn this off. I did. I had it on flight mode. So sorry.
It's okay.
The doctor was a girlfriend of mine, and she said, oh, look, I'll test you for parasites. So, yeah, I had parasites, and we took care of that. And then, another 3 months went on, and I'd lost, we do kilos, you do pounds. I think it was about 15 pounds I'd lost. And I went, look, what? I still don't feel well. I've lost weight, obviously, and I feel like hell. And she's told me that I was attention seeking. And I raised an eyebrow and went, this is a friend of mine, and she's telling me I'm attention seeking. What is this? And in the meantime, I developed the most terrifying other symptom of Morgellons disease, but insects coming out of my skin. And I would have detox bars. I'd be laying in the bath. My ceiling was timber. I'd be laying in the bath thinking they're coming out of the cedar timber work in the roof, in the ceiling, because the bath was just covered with creepy crawly things. So then I got OCD. I'd be collecting all this stuff, like this, and lining them up on the side of the bath, and buying specimen containers to put this stuff into. And I still have the containers. And now I have a really good microscope. I can see exactly what they are. And, that is terror in itself, that not only are you really sick, your doctor won't do anything for you. And I've got insects coming out of my body that have got, I say they've got arms, legs, faces, and postcodes. They come from somewhere.
Right.
So that was horrific. I think I went to, as everybody does, maybe a dozen doctors. No, we don't know what's wrong with you. Blah. Yeah, test. No, just go home. Just go home. I ended up at an infectious disease professor, and he told me I had lesions all up my arms from these bugs. And I showed him, and I had the containers of bugs that I'd collected. And he just smirked at me and said, look, if you get off the ice, you'll be feeling much better. And I said, and I burst into tears, and I said, the only ice I use comes out of the freezer. And I said, and what about these? He said, oh, we'll just throw those in the bin, shall we? I went, no, you won't throw them in the bin. I'll be taking those with me. And he said to me, look, I can help you. And I thought, yeah. And he said, yes. He said, I'd like to write you a referral to a psychiatrist. That was that. I ended up with post-traumatic stress syndrome after that, because it got really narky. He had this smug look on his face, and he'd humiliated me, and I was an ice addict, and it was just the most awful experience.
Oh, yeah. I have millions of those stories.
That's right. That's right. We've all gone through it.
Yeah.
We have. So, look, I knew I was developing dementia. Like, I just was forgetting things. couldn't string a sentence together. And I thought, this is not good. And a friend of mine suggested a doctor not far from where I lived. And I went, nope, not going to any more doctors. I hate them all. And I did. Hate them all. They've got no idea what they're doing. She said, please go to this one. I hear he's just beautiful. She said, I'm taking you. So she took me to this doctor. He was Spanish. And I say that he was 6'73". He was just this tall man with beautiful hair, and he was so handsome. He should have been in Spanish, love movies. And I looked at him, and he just smiled this beautiful smile. And I thought, there's nothing wrong with me. I feel so much better already just looking at this guy. I tried to get out of my seat, and I couldn't because my hips had locked. And it was so painful. And he had to pick me up to take me into his rooms. And we talked. He asked the background. He asked everything about my health. And he said, look, I know where you live. He said, it's tick encrusted down there. Do you have a tick story? I went, oh, yeah. So I told him about this thing in my neck. And because I'd get little nymph ticks on me when I was gardening, and still not think anything of it. My son did too, playing out in the bush. And he said, I think you've got Lyme disease. He said, but we're not allowed to mention that in Australia. So let's start running some tests. And he said, I'll be able to tell by co-infections if you have Lyme disease. And that's what we did. And he used to work evenings. And so if I couldn't sleep, I'd go up to him and ask questions and find out why he couldn't treat me. I found out about, Epstein-Barr virus, about mycoplasma, about a whole lot of other things. And he just used to sit and talk to me, and then he was deregistered for treating Lyme patients from around my area.
Yes.
But he was my savior. And I said, there's something crook about this. Something's not right. And he said, that's right. And he said, you've got a basket of information now. He said, you research it. So I did. And he said to me, look, your mind is affected by this thing. And he said, you need to exercise it or you'll lose it. And I was so frightened, like I've got bugs coming out of my skin. I've got this disease that's making me feel like death. And I wanted to die. And I'm going into dementia. And I just lost my father, a couple of years prior to dementia. And I thought, no. Oh, no. I am not going to end up in a nursing home. I'm going to research this thing. And I said to him, I'll write a book. That's what I'll do. I'll research and write a book if it's necessary. He said, do it.
And he's the one
that was the last I saw him, like I saw him a couple of other times. And next time I went to see him, he was gone, and I was treated very badly by his replacement.
And he's the one that said the 3 magic words. I believe you.
Yeah. Yes. With that, I cried and cried and cried. And you know what this angel did? Oh, he just held me in his arms. He said, it's okay. It's okay. He said, I believe you. And nobody else did. So he was an angel. He was there at the right and perfect time for me. And handsome and a nice person to go with it, just a beautiful soul to go with it.
Yeah.
He had no idea how handsome he was. His wedding ring he wore on his thumb. He had his tongue pierced, and he had Celtic tattoos around his ankles. He was so tall that his trousers were too short for him. So he'd cross his legs and you could see the tattoos up his ankles. And he was just this beautiful soul.
It
I
seems
don't know
like
where
I
he is
swear
now.
it sounds like he was an angel. Like he came in to help
That
you, like tell
smile.
you what you had to help you along the way, and then he was gone, you know.
Oh, it was so
Very
tragic.
angel like.
Yeah, I totally believe that. And
Yeah.
he had an aura about him that was just pure calm.
Yeah.
So I'd sit with him and go, so that's my basic background story. The rest has been surviving. I've lost my house. I couldn't work, obviously. That had to be sold off. I went and lived with my son for 15 months to try and get some energy back. And this was during COVID. So that was a difficult time. Small house, mama living in a house with, my son and his fiance. So yeah, it worked out okay. But when it was time to go, they let me know.
Yeah. So what started you down the rabbit hole of figuring out this, the Australian Lyme crimes, and like putting together all the puzzle pieces and going down those rabbit holes?
I call them wombat holes. Wombats here are these really fat, nuggety creatures that dig tunnels under the terrain everywhere. And they smell terrible because they take
Better word, isn't it?
and so I I didn't use Google. I used Google Scholar because I wasn't finding anything that made any sense. And then I started to look for medical documents. And within those medical documents, I started to find other sources. So eventually that led me to the CIA documents, and everything there was. There were documents, there were letters, there was so much information available. A lot redacted, a lot not. And so I just collected information. And then my son had come home from work, and I go, do you know this is actually a bioweapon? This and the blah, blah. And I'd grieve. Like while I was researching and writing, I'd grieve and I'd have to put it away for a little while because I'm thinking, how could mankind be so cruel?
Yeah.
So it was a tough thing to do. I'd never researched that hard before, and I'd never written before. And I thought, look, I'll write my stuff honestly, the way I speak, like I'm having a cup of coffee with somebody. And the science I'll put together in a manner that's easy for Lyme disease people like us to read.
Right.
So that was my intention, was to educate, but not to entertain, but to point out my story because we all have one,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
It's true. Everyone has a story. I
Yep.
love how you've written the book because you weave your story in with all of the facts about Lyme disease. You talk about the co-infections, and then you put in all of the different things about the origins of Lyme disease. You talk about AIDS and HIV. You talk about all the different names of the people that are involved with this, going back to the Russians and the Nazis and going, World War II, even pre-World War II. And I think it may even go back a little further than that.
I can take it back to around 1930. I thought I was finished the book when I blamed the Nazis for everything, the Nazis and the Americans, sorry, but I did. And then I thought, our government's so corrupt. I wonder what the Australians were up to. Well, that opened another can of worms, and I went,
yeah.
And I've only just, tipped on it lightly with this, but the Russians were working with Sydney University as early as 1930 on tick-borne weapons and releases. And so since the book, I've been researching that. I think there is another book. It's corruption and ticks and universities. But the universities I found were funded by the Rockefeller Institute to fund these studies, including Australia.
Yes.
So it gets slimier and slimier every time I look. So where everyone hated the Russians because, they were going to take over the world and it was going to be nuclear and atomic and all the rest of it, well, it really wasn't. But the Russians were working quite happily in Australia in 1930, doing tick bio, that word.
Yeah. BW.
W's, yeah. And they still are.
Yeah.
From what I understand.
Yeah.
So they work in collusion with a government body of Australia called the CSIRO, and that's our Commonwealth Science Division that takes in Australia. They also are nefarious. They do tick studies that they don't publish. So it's the CSIRO in collaboration with the Russian scientists at Sydney University. So look, I've found this Australian Nobel Prize winner from back at that time. I've got notes here. And we all know Eric Traub of Plum Island.
Yes.
And this stuff's not in the book, but it's new. And Eric Traub, he was a veterinarian. He wasn't a virologist. He wasn't, a human doctor. And he was inhumane to animals as well. Met a fellow by the name of Frank McFarlane Burnett of Melbourne University. Well, Frank McFarlane Burnett won a Nobel Prize in 1948 in virology. And he was just the bee's knees. He was like famed like Willy how do I say that? Bergdorfer.
Yeah, I never say it right either. Oh, Willie, that's what I call him. Oh, Willie.
Oh, Willie. So, this guy is as popular as him, accolades, news articles, feature articles about it. He's publishing papers all over the place. But it turns out that he himself had visited Plum Island many times. These guys got a ton of money under the Fulbright scholarship from the Rockefeller Institute. They could travel, they could come and go, that, money was no problem. So he'd been to Plum Island to see Traub. What he did is he stole Traub's works, had them published in Australia, and got the medal on his chest for his trouble.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. And it was a piece on virology, on how to poison with a bacteria chickens who are laying eggs. So the chicken's infected, the egg becomes infected, and whoever eats the chicken, eats the egg, well, you're going to end up with this bacteria. So this doctor, eugenicist, he thought that there were too many people in the world. He is our own Bill Gates, this, Frank McFarlane Burnett. He goes up to Papua New Guinea to test his theory. And what does he writes this dud paper about a new virus or a new bacteria called Kuru disease. And Kuru disease is actually his invention of the chicken and the egg poisoning. So he slaughtered a heap of Papua New Guinea people. So then he thought, well, there's too many people in Indonesia and there's too many people in China. We'll have a go at them too. So they will work. They were doing the Bill Gates thing here in Australia in the 1940s.
Right.
Bill Gates, nothing new.
No.
And I think one of the other things is that Australia was down under, out of sight, out of mind. So it was easy for them to do all this nefarious experimentation because nobody called them on it.
Right.
Not anybody would call them on what they were doing. Then McFarlane was working on insects, including ticks. So we know that he also got involved in MK Ultra and using ticks on satanic ritual abuse victims. So we can thank him for our tick problem in Australia. They have been manipulated by him and the CSIRO. But then it goes further than that. After the Cold War, under the Fulbright scholarship, all the Nazis that didn't get captured by the Nazi hunters were distributed throughout the world. I don't know who you ended up with, but we ended up with Mengele. And Mengele was the butcher doctor of Auschwitz.
Yeah.
So then I find out that the Red Cross sponsored all his travel requirements to Australia.
Yeah.
So he's living in Australia in a suburb like 5 miles from where I lived, doing the MK Ultra thing with SRA victims from the Navy base, the Army base, which is like 15 miles from where I lived. And this Army base is doing amazing things with tick torture as well. I know of SRA victims living in high-rise buildings in Sydney who have made allegations to the police about SRA through the Masons to have their homes infested with nymph ticks. Now, you've got to ask the question, how do you get nymph ticks in a high-rise building in the city that's concrete? And they find a canister, like a bug bomb.
Yeah.
They find an industrial use canister that these ticks have come out of. All these women, I know about 6 of them, they all have Lyme disease. And one girl in country New South Wales found the canister. The house is full of nymph ticks, like the place is crawling with ticks. And her neighbour was a vet, came in to have a look, and he said, this is a species of tick I've never seen before. He said that this is not organic. So Australia has 70 species of ticks now. You have 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did we end up with that many
Right.
different ticks? Oh, come on. It's just not natural. We know ticks are prehistoric. They've
Right.
been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
And they do make people sick. I've investigated the Aboriginal side of it here in Australia. And they, yes, they were bitten by ticks and they did have a neurological response to it.
Right.
They called it mad fella's disease. They'd use sarsaparilla and bush herbs, and they tended to get over it within about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, we don't get over it
Because it's not natural.
because it's not natural.
Manufactured. So, and I mean, oh, okay. So wasn't Willie the one that came up with the design of the aerosol, putting the ticks in the aerosol can?
Yes, into planes and spraying them
Yes.
over America. Yes. Good old Willie. He worked out how to freeze dry them, but to a
Yes. Freeze
state
dry.
of comatose, not death.
Yeah.
Um, and the same thing that they've done here, the aerosol containers like the bug bomb. They've done that to these SRA
Because wasn't it
people.
I mean, this is the story that's told. They said it was ticks were the perfect weapon to use against their enemies because they could drop them, they could infect them with the disease, they could wipe out the army that way. That's the story that we're told, but it's actually the perfect way to wipe out us.
That's it. Because I mean, if you're in a military situation, you're dropping ticks, your soldiers are still okay. They're still going to fight. They haven't got Lyme disease yet. You know, what are
It'll
they going
take
to
a
get
bit.
sick and drop down here? No, no, that none of that makes sense.
Well, but they've been doing
We
this
know
because they sell it because in the Gulf War, Saddam Saddam Hussein, he used it. I mean, that's what all like our soldiers, they come home with the Gulf War syndrome. That's
that's it.
that's Lyme. It's not Gulf War syndrome, it's Lyme disease and the co-infections. So,
That's right. And America did it to Cuba, during
yes.
the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yes.
Um, and those poor people, like that land is just riddled with ticks.
Yeah.
I also heard, my readers, my followers tell me all sorts of fascinating information that I gleaned a stack during COVID where American citizens were being sprayed with nymph ticks during COVID because there was nothing to do. We were all in lockdown.
Yeah.
People were cleaning gardens and houses, and people actually got up on roofs because they were finding nymph ticks on their porches. So they're getting up on roofs to clean them, and discovering that their roofs were crawling in ticks.
So, for anybody watching that doesn't know what a nymph tick is, they're the size of a poppy seed. They would look
Yes.
like a speck of dirt if they got on you. So if you can't get that speck of dirt off, we got something in the chat.
Oh, Natasha just said she lived near the CSIRO and has had Lyme disease all her life. Now, the CSIRO have tunnels. One tunnel connects to the army barracks, about 5 kilometres up the road. And the army barracks then have tunnels that go down to the Royal National Park where I lived.
Okay.
Nefarious, yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of this information I learned by reading Fiona Barrett's book, Eyes Wide Open.
Yeah.
And that book helped fill in some dots for the tunnels, these women that are being victimized by the Mason police. The whole story is just, it's a horror story. It's a Stephen King novel,
Yeah.
but worse,
But it's true
because
crime.
it keeps on giving.
Yeah.
And then I find out other information, and I'm thinking, I'm
Puzzle
gobsmacked.
pieces just keep connecting together
They
because
do.
we all had these puzzle pieces for years, and then like you keep connecting with different survivors from different things, and we tell our stories, and you're like, wait a minute, that that makes sense, like, or that
Yes,
makes
this
sense.
girl
Yeah.
lived near the CSIRO. She has Lyme disease,
Yeah.
has it all of her life. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
And I need to always be in integrity. So I won't say or write anything that I'm not sure about,
Oh yeah.
because hearsay is too easy. I didn't even connect that until today, listening from Natasha. You're welcome, Natasha. Um, yes, and this is why I have a forensic board, because thank you, information comes in, I write it down, I research it, and I put it on that board, so I'm always in integrity.
Yes. Yeah.
Because initially people were calling me out on this, going, bah, that's crap, it's not true. Our governments would not do that. Now they don't say that, and they welcome, like, guess what they did this time? And
Mm-hmm.
I show them
Right.
chemtrails, what's in the food, what they're doing with vaccines, I'm showing them, and they're
Right.
taking it on. So the education process is working really quite well for people that just believed, no, this is not on, this couldn't happen to us.
People are waking up. They're waking up. We've planted the seeds for years, so they're finally. And I mean, there's been people on the journey longer than me, but I've been on the journey because I got diagnosed in December 2013. So I've been on this longer. So, but I was misdiagnosed for 16 years. So
Of
it's,
course you were.
I know. So of course I was. And I was, when I finally was diagnosed, I was CDC positive, and I thought that was a good thing until I had uh, a nurse practitioner. She was Lyme literate. She's like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, it's a tracking device. And I said, what do you mean it's a tracking device? And she says, well, they're going to monitor you and see if you get better, if you get worse, if you die. And I'm like, are you serious? And she said, yeah. And I'm like, well, I want it off. I don't want a tracking device on me. That's what CDC positive means. So when you get tested, that's why I tell people, I'm like, you don't want to be CDC positive at all. No, it's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
But
It's not.
I'm registered with two CDCs. I'm registered with the big one in Atlanta, Georgia, and the one in Indiana. So they were
And they're
tracking me
corrupt.
down. They wanted to know where I
They're
got
all
bit,
corrupt.
when I got bit, all this stuff. And it was I was like, what do these people want? Like they were sending me postcards and blowing up my phone and we need to talk to you. And I'm like, why? But they couldn't believe that I had been bitten 16 years prior because my Lyme test was so blaringly positive. And they thought, they're like, you had to have just been bitten. I'm like, no, I wasn't. And my CD57 test was 13, which Dr. Arman told me. He was like, you're in serious trouble. Like, yeah, I was.
Yeah.
But
And yet Australia doesn't have any of that.
no,
We
you
have a
guys have
centre.
to send your test
We
like
have nothing.
to the United
No.
States or to Dr. Arman or,
Dr. Armin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have nothing. So that's why this, Dr. Gorgeous, that I called him, tested for co-infections
Yeah.
and went, it's classic.
Listen, Natasha.
And then I said to him, and he said, because, Epstein-Barr is so cruel too. And so I looked at Epstein-Barr and I said to him, Epstein-Barr is in the herpes family. And if it's in the herpes family, then surely I can take valcyclovir for, say, genital herpes, and that will put it back into hibernation. And he went, that's the most intelligent thing I've heard for months. He said, we'll write you a script. And he said, I'll monitor you. Within 3 days, I was out of bed.
Oh, wow.
It was incredible. So I take one every day as a preventative.
Yeah.
Because in us, it triggers all the time. Herpes, I'll get to the bottom of that soon. And I'm working on who did what to herpes, and I'll find out. But it triggers when we're upset, when we're emotional, when something has happened, it will kick in every single time and send us to bed. It does with me.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
um,
Lyme is it's connected to syphilis too, because it's a
yes,
spirochete
yes,
type.
it's a cousin of
Yeah.
syphilis.
Well, and so it's a sister virus to COVID as well, because Dr. Armin and I talked about this when I did his interview earlier this month. Because I told him, I said it has as, because I had COVID in early 2020, and I said it cycled every 5 to 6 weeks. And for me, Lyme and the co-infections would cycle every 3 to 4 weeks. So COVID was cycling every 5 to 6 weeks, and then it continued to cycle for 18 months. And Armin, he said he wrote a paper about this. So then when I figured that out, I went back on treatment. And I was like, well, I'm gonna have to go back on treatment. But I went back on treatment to first I went back on to like, I'm like, well, maybe I have to go back on to like, because I'd only been in wellness for 14 months from being in wellness from Lyme and the co-infections. So I said, well, I have to go back on to like get all that, like back to sleep or whatever. And then I started targeting the COVID, and I had to do that like totally different. I had to hit everything harder and just do it a little differently than I did with the Lyme. And it took me from January of 2022 until it was October of 2023 is when I got back into a wellness state. But then I've still been
Oh,
rebuilding since then. And I've just now been probably in the last month or so where I've been feeling like I'm getting my energy back and like stuff, but it's still like I'm still in the rebuilding phase. It'll be 2 years in October for a wellness state, but you're still like rebuilding, like going. And Natasha, she's here. She's the one that helped me with, she's like, I think you should add sulfur in organic MSM. There's a company in Australia called Miracle Products that I get it from. That has
yes.
been life changing for me. It has,
Has it?
yes. But it's the third most important mineral that we need in our bodies. And
Because I use that company too.
we're all like, I use their Camu too. And Natasha actually uses a lot of their products. But if it wasn't for her, like it has like helped my sleep. I'm starting to have like this spark with energy. I bet if you guys saw my room right now, you would die because I'm like, I am cleaning out. I'm like organizing, I'm cleaning, but I haven't had this kind of energy in years. And it's not like a normal person's energy. I have to take breaks and rest and stuff, but like I'm
Yes, I do too.
I feel like I'm living again on a slow level, but I'm like getting there, like I'm actually thinking, okay, I'm like starting to get back to doing the stuff again. And like, it's slow, but the sulfur has been key. And so we're all micronutrient deficient in, you know, It's not in our
Absolutely.
food and stuff anymore. The
Yeah.
vitamins, we need 13 daily vitamins every day. We need those micro minerals every day too. We're not getting them.
It takes me all day to take my supplements,
I
when I
Well,
was,
I've been sitting here drinking my juice with my broken
yeah,
chlorella. Like,
yeah,
you got, I mean, it's an all day, and you talk about it in your book of how it's like an all day. That's how you get well. You have to commit. It's an all day thing. It's like a
I did.
time job.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
And I'm very, very mindful of how I feel,
Yep.
what's missing, how I supplement that, and so on. I did get COVID. I I travel every few years.
And
It's the best thing I could do for my soul, but it's a hard thing on Lymeys.
yeah,
So I pick up COVID. I'm the first out of Australia when the travel bans are lifted, the day off. Like, and can you imagine how stressed I was? Am I going? Am I not going? Am I going? Am I not going? So of course I pick up COVID in Italy. And I didn't think it was that bad, really, the dose I got.
yeah,
Um, you cold, cold, headachy, fatigue. When I Then I got rid of it. When I came home, of course, I crashed, and I always do after I travel. But I know that's part of the plan. I'm going to crash when I come home, pick up the cat first, and then crash. So, oh God, I was sick with this COVID thing coming and going. It was the fatigue annoys me the most of all, because I had always been a high achiever. And when I'm sleeping or I have to lay down, I get cross with myself. Like, get off your ass, Julie, and go and, read this, do that.
yeah.
And I can't, and I do still get frustrated. I listened to Dr. Ardis
Yes.
YouTube on nicotine therapy
Yes.
and COVID.
Mhm.
And so I went, you beaut, I'm off. I'm going to go those patches. I'll whack those on. I'm going to chew that gum.
Yeah. That's how
Five
I got
days
right
later,
here.
5 days later, gone, gone.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And so I do recommend Limeys use a patch, a nicotine patch every single
Yes.
day,
Yep.
because it does help with our energy.
Yep.
Uh, it's getting rid of other diseases quite nicely.
Yeah.
And I can actually feel, well, I'm making sense as I speak, but I'm clearer.
Yes.
um, it's good stuff, natural tobacco. And I used to, when I was a child, watch, American movies, and the cowboys would be, sauntering into the bar and chewing their backy, and spitting in the trough. And I said, oh my God, that's disgusting. Now I realize why they did it.
Right.
It was medicinal.
Yeah. Everything's been put here for a reason. All the
Yes,
natural herbs, all of I do tinctures. I think tinctures work best with Lyme because it goes into the blood, it gets into your system within 5 minutes, bypasses the gut. Because if you're healing the gut, you can take all the pills you want in the world, but it's not going to help. You got to
no,
take things that are going to bust the biofilm and eradicate the persister cells. So you've done a lot of research on the backstory. Like, I've done a lot of research on how to heal, and I've for some reason, like, I don't know. I understand. Well, intuitively, I understand how to heal, and it takes a while. And I don't think a lot of people have the patience on how to do it. And then they want to get back to how you were. Do you know who Carol Thorpe Fish is?
no.
She's here she's actually here in Florida. She's on the Gulf side. She told me years ago, she says, the person you were is gone. She goes, and once you realize that, she says, then she goes, you can become who you will be. She goes, but that life is done. And it just
It
takes a
is.
while for you to
It is gone.
Realize that. Yeah.
You know, I work 15 hours a day in advertising on deadline, deadline after deadline after deadline, and I could do it.
Yep.
I could forget it.
Yeah.
Can't do that now.
No.
I'd collapse.
Yeah.
So instead, I channel my energy. I think I have like, well, 3,500 followers. A lot of those people I counsel
Oh, nice.
by message. That takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
They respond to what I've posted, and I figure all those people are sick,
Yeah.
not just me. So if they've taken the time to write a comment, then I take the time to respond. Unless it's ludicrous, I don't bother. But they've taken the time, therefore I will take the time to respond to them.
Yes. Very
So
good.
I do care greatly on a global level for, people that are suffering, and we know how they've suffered and why they have suffered. And it's just extraordinary how we've been allowed to suffer.
Oh, yes. I feel like
The Australian,
you make it through, and once you've made it through, you've made it through for a reason. So you are to be a light for those behind you, and you have to have compassion and empathy for those people. And you can't be like, well, I made
absolutely.
it through, you figure it out. No, you
Yeah,
made it through
hello.
for a reason.
No.
You made
Yeah,
it through for a reason. So
yes.
be a light.
You know, Dr. Gorgeous came into my life at the right and perfect time.
Yeah.
And I like to show people that I care
Yeah.
how they feel,
Yeah.
because I know you
What?
can't say somebody who doesn't have Lyme cannot possibly say, oh, I know how you feel, because they don't.
No.
It's too complex. They don't know.
And we don't want them to know. We really don't. I don't want anyone to go through this ever.
No, no.
It's horrific. So, and I try to get people who have their health to understand it's their wealth. You should cherish it and you should take care of it, because once you lose it, because my grandma, she always said, your health is your wealth. And I remember her saying that when I was growing up, and I did respect my health, but like you do not understand how valuable your health is until you lose it.
Until you hit that wall, you have got no idea.
Because you lose your health, you can't work, you can't take care of your family, you can't do anything, can't take care of yourself. So, well, what
Yes.
do you
I mean,
say
even
we,
taking care of
what
yourself
do you-
some days is a struggle,
yeah,
isn't it?
it is. What do you say we take some questions? You ready to take some
Yep.
questions?
Terrific idea.
All right. Who has questions for Julie? Tasha says, Julie, you are here to bust the BS and the BW. Thank you for showing up. You're an angel. Who
Thank
has
you so
questions?
much.
Don't be shy. We'll keep on talking. We could talk for days.
It's a big subject.
It really is.
Do you have Sara Lee cakes in America?
We do. I don't eat them, but yeah.
There was an ad once, and a Danish lady is on this ad. Like, my mind is really good in advertising. It's my background. And she goes, we have layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of blah 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 in these cakes, and this is what Lyme is. And I always think of the Sara Lee ad. It's a layer upon layer upon layer upon layer,
True.
and that's absolutely the way it runs.
It's true.
And so even the research, it's layers and layers and layers. I mean,
Research.
who could have?
And then I think people don't understand either is like for us with our symptoms and stuff, they can change from minute to minute to hour.
Yes.
Like
No.
be so crazy. We can be like laying in bed and be like, we're dying, and then all of a sudden we're fine and we're good to go. It's so strange. We don't understand it either. Like it makes no
No.
sense, you know?
No.
I
And
can
that's the frustrating thing.
I can go to the beach and I feel completely normal. And if I can go stay at the beach, I feel like a normal person. I sleep great. I can get up with the sun. I have energy because of the negative ions. I'm like balanced at the beach. But when I leave the beach, it's like a vacuum just sucks me dry. And I'm back to being Lyme Angie. Like it's unreal. It's unreal. Of course, my kids will do that to me too. They'll like give me all this energy. It's like I'm at the beach, and then like when they go away, then I'm like, bleh.
Yes, my son does that for me too, and he doesn't realize how important it is that I need to see him, because just laying eyes on him energizes me,
Yeah, yeah,
and I feel better for this amount of time.
yeah, 100%. I can't believe none of these people in here have any questions.
Come on, guys, I don't bite. I do tell the truth, but I don't bite. It's very isolating, Natasha. Even a simple exercise can trigger it. Yes, I don't exercise anymore,
Well,
just in case I don't want to.
yeah.
No, I'm just not exercise tolerant anymore.
I could make a comment.
Okay.
Um, just that I don't know what's happened to my lighting. Suddenly I'm all washed out. I don't know why that's happened.
You want to be on camera?
I am on camera.
No. Do you want me to put you in spotlight?
Oh, no.
No? Okay.
I don't really know what that means. You mean on
I
your
would bring you
recording?
on so you were in the video.
Oh, no, that's okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, look, it's just a comment from personal experience of energy. You were talking about energy before and fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Oh,
did the
yes.
carnivore diet for 19 months. And initially I found it very detoxing and healing. But I've sort of realized really it can be very good for short-term healing and detoxing, but it's not really good for long-term. And my energy started zapping away, and I was just tired all the time after several months. And in the end, like 1st of May, actually, I decided, right, I'm stopping this. And I started having fruit and juice all morning. And overnight, my energy went almost back to normal. It's been 2 or 3 weeks now. And like you said, I just feel alive again. I feel like I've got life in my veins again, just by having fruit and juice. I was having vegetables as well. And it's made an extraordinary difference. So I just wanted to share that in case it could be helpful for energy, you know.
Some people,
That's a great tip, because
yeah.
I've just had a relapse, but during this relapse, all I've wanted is fruit,
Right.
fruit and juice, fruit and juice. I tried the carnivore for a little while, but my weight just ballooned. It did absolutely nothing for me. But every individual body is different and reacts differently to different protocols. So for me, I just got chubby and got really huge boobs.
Well, I was finding it harder to manage my weight, to keep it down. And I did more research, which is why I changed. And I realized it's the fat, because it's high fat, high protein.
Yes.
And
yes,
eating fat, adds more calories, but there's not much bulk in it. And yeah, I was struggling with weight, which I hadn't done before carnivore, and also energy. So I thought, yeah, this is just not working anymore. I need to change. And yeah, but the fruit and the juice, because it slows down your metabolism. This is what I've learned since. It starts to interfere with your metabolism and your insulin levels, and can slow down your metabolism. And the body will convert protein. If it's not getting enough carbohydrate, it will convert protein into glucose somehow.
Yeah.
And because it wants to run on glucose, it's its fuel. And so, I think carnivore is really good for a short-term healing and detox. And then after that, it can start to mess up your body's balance and metabolism, and thyroid function apparently can be affected as well. So
that's why I don't like those diets. I think you should eat for you. I think you should find what works for you. Like for me, I have red meat sporadically. I don't
Yeah.
have it all the time. I mainly have chicken or fish, and I eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Or I drink my juice, my vegetable juice. I have like beet, carrot, green juice, and I put broken sabal chlorella in it. I don't. There's also people that have a that can have a allergy to red meat. It's like it's called alpha gal, isn't it, Julie? The alpha gal.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's
So,
right.
um, and you can, but then, and my son, like he does all the bodybuilding and stuff. So there's times where he'll bulk up, and he'll be eating more protein, more fat, and then he does the shredding where he eats differently. So I know
Mm.
when you want to lose weight for like women, you're supposed to add more fat and protein. But there's something with your body that's your like in the beginning, you were feeling okay. So see, you got to listen to your body, what your body's telling you. Your body tells
Yeah.
you exactly what you need and what you need to do. So,
Mm. Well, there's a sugar diet thing that's taking off at the moment, and meaning fruit, fructose, fruit juice, and that sort of thing, and vegetables. And they're saying that sugar in the absence of protein and fat gets you lean and shredded. It's the combination of sugar and fat that is the problem and causes the loss of energy and the sluggish metabolism. But if you have those foods quite separately from each other, there's not such a problem. But yeah, fat was suggested should be very, very minimal. And it kind of it just flips everything on its head because we've all got a sugar phobia, and sugar's bad.
I don't
But they're
have a
saying
sugar
actually,
phobia. I know coconut sugar is good for you because in moderation, of course, but it's like it keeps your glucose level down. It's coconut sugar is actually very beneficial for you. I also know that like if you are trying to do something with your diet and like your adrenals are out of balance, your thyroid is out of balance, if your body, your liver, like you've got to support all of your organs, you've got to make sure that your body is in a healthy state before you start
mm,
doing all this stuff with your body. So
yeah,
I don't like
yeah,
fasting.
I was
A lot of people fast, and you shouldn't be fasting if your adrenals are
no,
stressed.
no,
No.
So, and people don't know that. So, your adrenals take over, like for women, when you go into menopause, your adrenals take over for your ovaries. So, if your adrenals aren't working and they're taxed and they're in fight or flight, they're not going to work for you. You're going to put on all that weight. We're not supposed, do you guys know that? We're not supposed to put on the weight. People think it's just getting older and you're supposed, no, that's not supposed to happen. So,
no.
there's a lot of misconceptions that we've been told about getting older and having our hair turn gray and all of this stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
not true.
Mm. Yep, I agree.
It's disease, apparently.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
It's
why
just what?
I'm still wearing this. I refuse. I refuse the grey hair. Yeah, look, it's
Right.
white. My hair is white underneath, but
Yeah.
I just refuse. Too much has been taken away from me already.
I
Yes.
agree. I agree. Well, thank
Well,
you so
thank you. It's a really interesting conversation.
thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who else has a question? Peter, Jamie, Mac. I'm gonna start calling on people like we're in a classroom.
Hi, I just wanted to say hi. I'm not going to come on camera because I'm actually in the middle of moving and I'm in my pajamas and I'm wearing pink glasses because I'm on like a 5-day migraine here. So like just
Aw.
really don't
Oh,
I don't want to scare anybody by putting my camera on. But yeah, did this book just come out? Because I actually just ordered all these books online and I'm pretty sure if I saw yours on Amazon, I would have grabbed it. So I don't is this like a new book that just came out?
no,
Yeah.
it's 4 years.
Is it in
It's
Canadian
4 years
Amazon?
old. Yeah, Amazon globally, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how I
Yeah.
missed it. I don't know. That's weird because I definitely like I would have grabbed it. I actually have just read a whole bunch. I just read the book Sleeper Agent and Lab
Yep.
27057 or whatever. I got all those
Yep.
Lyme books. So it's actually kind of
Yep.
something I'm just starting to research. But yeah, really, like the thing I research the most is like the SRA and MK Ultra connection. And I know
Yes.
there's a lot of like masking of symptoms and medical experimentation on SRA victims, but like I'm still trying to find like I think there's deeper agendas to Lyme, and I don't know if it has to do with some of the more current stuff with like nanotechnology in the brain and getting metals into the brain and stuff. Because from what I researched, with the immune tolerance, like that's when the stuff that your immune system would normally catch, it kind of gets past the gate, and then that's when all these neurological things start happening. Like it starts to turn into the dementia, Alzheimer's, whatever. So I'm just wondering,
and this is happening to old people. This is happening to people not Lymies as well. I'm noticing now. With the Morgellons insects that I have, which are slowing down now thanks to the nicotine, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Oh God, what was I going to say? Oh, the Morgellons is patented. We know that that's a BW, and I notice from time to time, amongst my huge collection now of bugs, different crystals and sparkly things amongst it all, which is this
I'm just wondering
nanotech.
I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on like what kind of the agenda is, because I don't think it's like to kill everybody. I think it's something else, and they don't care about the collateral damage. Like I think they have some other type of agenda, like whether it's part of the original transhumanist agenda or somehow doing like a mass experimentation to change the brain, like, you know what I mean, with the dementia stuff. Like I don't know if it's because I don't see the point of just disabling a bunch of people. Like
it is part of the transhuman agenda, and it is part of plugging us into the government phone system, if you like, so that we can all be under surveillance.
Yeah. You mean like
right? Yeah. So I'm really curious about these SRA survivors, that because there's so many. That's actually how Lyme kind of got on my radar, because like I'm always working with SRA survivors, and so many of them have Lyme disease. That kind of like I was like, okay, there's a connection here. But yeah, I'm really the other thing too that I kind of am suspicious of is, and I haven't studied the whole like terrain theory or whatever, but there's all these people saying, oh, viruses don't exist and stuff. And if you go back and look at Eric Traub's research, like the virus, I think like viruses are such a big part of it, but I don't think viruses are what people think they are. But like there is some type of vector virus that they've developed, and he was growing a lot of it in eggs. And now you see all these, like in Canada, they're killing all the ostrich farms, and like they're always destroying eggs. And I'm always like, why? Like, is there something being grown in them that they need to destroy, or like what? There's something else. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but it's kind of a red flag for me that they're kind of trying to like negate viruses, when clearly they are being used for.
We did discuss eggs earlier on in the interview, in that an Australian scientist by the name of Frank McFarlane Burnett, a eugenicist before the time of Bill Gates, was doing exactly that. And he used the chicken and the egg theory and poisoned chickens and eggs so that if they were consumed, you would end up with a bacterial or viral infection that would probably kill you. He tested it out in Papua New Guinea and called it Kuru disease. But he made it in the lab using eggs.
And so we always hear about like cannibals having Kuru disease. Is this all connected somehow?
Yeah.
Like, was this created?
Somehow, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Who was the person, Julie, that said if you infect the food, you will unalive the people? like you'll get rid of the people. Who is the person that said that? I remember reading it in your book. There was someone that said if you infect the food, you'll get rid of the people because we have to eat.
Yeah, it's not coming back into my head.
Sorry.
So do you think these people that invented all this have a type of prophylactic for themselves? Like I know with HIV now they have the, PrEP or PEP, the prophylactic. And I'm like, well, they've obviously had that from the beginning before they released it out, because I don't think these people are dumb enough to infect the soup that they're living in too without having some type of security for themselves that they're not going to infect themselves. So like, do you think that these people that are releasing these bioweapons, like that they have some type of thing where it's not going to affect them? Like, do they have a vaccine for themselves or something like
I think
Lyme?
so. I've always heard that where there is a patent, for example, Morgellons, there is a cure that the dark side know of. Now, I continue to research trying to find this these cures, but they're buried somewhere that I can't find. But I am pretty sure, and I did read that here the dark side have remedies for everything.
I spoke with a gentleman in the summer of 2023. He sent me some of his research. His name's Will. His last name's escaping me right now. I spoke to him on Facebook Messenger. He sent me a bunch of his stuff. He said the Russians had an antidote to the Lyme. Yes. And when they made a deal with the Nazis, and the Nazis didn't want the antidote. So
the Nazis said they didn't want to know about it.
Right.
They
wanted the BW. So
that's the Russians right. Gave it to they paid for that, and then they got all economical. Oh, we don't need to pay for the cure. That's fine, thanks.
So it does exist somewhere.
Yeah, it does exist somewhere. I can't find it. And I wish I read Russian because it'll be somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, I think it has to connect to this gain of function, because if you look at like Trobe's work, it kind of was like the original idea of gain of function, because these proteins were attaching to parts in the immune system, kind of like filling a little slot on the cell, telling it like that it's already doing its job, so it doesn't need to go and fight off these things coming in. So now, I mean, I don't know, I'm not like a super science researcher or anything, but just looking at what's happening now with the gain of function stuff, and then going back and looking at the HIV stuff, and then looking at whatever this antidote is would have to be something that's kind of like the opposite of the gain of function, where it would like release out and allow your immune system to do what it needs to do. It's kind of, I don't know. It's just a thought. I have no idea, but
it's very intelligent. The Lyme and the co-infections, it's very, very intelligent.
It's almost like it has its own consciousness in a way. Yeah. I know the Morgellons do, and that's a really scary part. And that's why I say, these bugs, they've got arms and legs, faces and postcodes, because they're actually living creatures, and I'm sure they have a consciousness.
Yeah.
And is the Morgellons like an AI virus or something? Like, or I don't know.
It's manufactured. It's before AI. It's look, I'm alive, but imagine, bugs coming out of your body that walk across the floor from time to time. Like, it's horrific. I was in a doctor's surgery one day and trying to explain all this, and just wasn't getting it. And an albino tick came from out of my ankle and scuttled across the floor. Well, this poor guy nearly shit himself. He just turned white. He said, I can't answer any of these questions. I don't know. He said, but I just saw that.
Yeah.
This thing walked across the floor. So, but that's pre-nano. These these are patents on Morgellons, but I know too that we are being sprayed with Morgellons from chemtrails, because they've got new members on Australian Lyme Crimes on Facebook asking the question, no, so I don't have Lyme, but this is happening. And on the Morgellon sites on Facebook, I'm seeing that too. So well people are now being infested with nanotech that, it shouldn't be on Earth anyhow.
Yeah, this
So
is what
we're all
really
sick.
makes me think they must have some type of vaccine or some other type
Yeah.
of form of prophylactic for themselves, because if they're just spraying in general, like they're spraying themselves, and they're like, they can't be selective when they're just blanket spraying. So I just don't believe they would do that unless they somehow had a way for it not to affect them.
I don't think they're human, Jamie, so I don't think it affects them.
Well, yeah, that's another thing too, right? They might be a different, wouldn't affect them anyways. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Well, I'll read your book for sure. I wish I wasn't moving right now. I'd probably try to read it before I came on a show with Angie. But yeah, it sounds right up my alley and really interesting. And yeah, I'll order it right away here and read it, because I find it all interesting, and everybody has such a different it's like everybody looks at the same information but then has new stuff to add to it. So it's really I want to read everything.
We keep finding stuff, like we've been talking, just layer upon layer upon layer of information, which is why I started a forensic board specifically for information that was coming to me left of centre, for me to research and to make sure it was correct, and then to use it as fact.
Natasha says the
when I
CDS
first released this,
she says the CDS from Miracle Products apparently deactivates nanotech. I read on their website too that it removes the graphene oxide.
Yes. And apparently nicotine patches do too.
Yes, both. And Natasha says she feels the Lyme and co-infections cause a deactivation of the immune system long term, removing defenses of our natural systems, rewriting the coding of DNA kind of thing. And she's right.
Yeah, she's right.
So thank you, Jane.
It was all part of the agenda. Yep.
Kristen has her hand raised. Did you have a question, Kristen?
Yeah, thank you. I had a few, depending on what there's time for, just in relation to nanotech. One of the things I learned when I was doing carnivore and I was in the support group was sweating is fantastic for removing nanotech and other, it's a great way to detox. So you can get sauna blankets, infrared sauna blankets, and just climb into it. It's great in winter especially, and just sweat. So apparently that's good for that sort of thing. And I don't know if it would help with parasites or the stuff that affects, I'm still wondering. I did CDS for a while, and in that chat group, they shared a book about herpes called The Cruel Hoax That Is Herpes Genitalis. And they reckon it's toxins that have gone into nerve endings, and that it's actually not a virus. So I don't know what the truth is, but that was just something I learned about that. And
I believe that too. Absolutely.
Do you?
Absolutely. Yes. And herpes is the next thing I want to get to the bottom of, because there's nothing natural about that either. And that's another grey area of corruption, I think.
Yeah.
I know it lives in the base of the spine. It's reactivated due to stress, lack of nutrition, tiredness, all those sort of things. But, there's nothing natural about herpes either.
And, some people get it who have never had, sexual contact with anyone, and they can get a herpes outbreak, but it's supposed to be contagious, and that's how you pass it on. But some people have never had that intimacy, and yet they can still have a herpes outbreak. So it's very mysterious.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I find something mysterious, I can't answer the question. That's when I go looking. That's my red flag. No sexual contact or intimacy yet. You've got genital herpes. Give me a break.
Yeah.
There's something very wrong there.
And babies can get it when the mother didn't have it, and they're born and they can have a herpes outbreak as infants, but the mother didn't have it, so she didn't pass it on to them. So, how do you explain that as well? So it's very mysterious. But that book kind of unpacked it a bit. The cruel hoax that is herpes genitalis, it was called.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Is that available on Amazon?
It was a PDF on the Universal Antidote. I might be able to find it and share it with you on, through email or Telegram or something.
I'd love that. If you just look up Australian Lyme crimes on Facebook, you'll find me there.
I'm not on Facebook.
All right. Well, just go to my webpage, and that will give you contact details. I'd love to read that, because this is the next part of my research is into this herpes thing.
Okay.
Thank you. I'd love that.
You might pass on your website to me. And I'm wondering where you get your patches from, Julia. Or is it Julie? Are you getting the ones that Brian Artis recommended, or are you getting them in Australia?
No, I'm not buying the Australian ones. They're too expensive. I sourced them off Amazon. And I got more bang for my buck, basically.
Okay.
I got more patches cheaper.
Right.
That way. Yeah.
Do you know that they don't have other chemicals in them? They're clean.
Look, do you know what? I'm so sick, I don't care. I'm so full of other shit anyway. If I can get some relief, then I will. I'm too tired to research every single product. Yeah,
I've tried to find like other patches that don't have stuff in it. Like Dr. Merritt, she suggests this Lucy brand of the nicotine gum, and I looked at it. It still has the same chemicals in it as the brand name gum. So I buy like the Amazon brand of the gum, and it has some stuff in it, but I do so much detoxing and stuff anyway. So I figure
that's what I figured too.
And we're still being sprayed with the chemtrails. I do the filtration of the water and all of that. Like until I do as much as possible.
As you can. Yep.
I do as good as I can. So
your spraying should finish around the 25th of next month.
It should,
really?
But here's the thing with that. It only goes 400 feet in the air. So anything above that, they can still spray us because it's federal. Oh, yeah. According to Florida law, the Florida airspace is we can only not be sprayed 400 feet in the air. Anything above that is federal, and it has to be a federal law, a federal ban on the, I checked it out. So,
right.
I thought it was a federal law brought in by Maha.
It's a Florida law. It's a Florida ban. So they're still going to be spraying. And I'm like, I said, it's not good
what's
enough.
The point? What's the point, really?
Yeah. What's the point? So
you do what you can and you don't worry about the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
otherwise there's just too much pressure on us. We have enough pressure on ourselves anyhow.
Doing a lot of light work and stuff.
So,
So I'm like trying to get the chemtrails and stuff like to be,
I know. So Amazon, these ones were cheap. Well, I mean, I got heaps more than we can buy here for the same price, double the amount, in fact. And I'm finding too that the adhesive is not upsetting my skin like the Australian brands do.
Yeah, I was having a problem with the adhesive too. It was
adhesive.
Itch. Yeah.
Oh, it's awful.
And
awful
I read
feeling.
that Lucy gum, while it has like less chemicals and stuff in it, while it still has chemicals and stuff in it, it doesn't have the talc or something in it that the other brand does. It has synthetic nicotine. So I'm like, why would you buy that when it's synthetic nicotine? You want the natural stuff, So it's like, what do you one hand is which do you want? I'm gonna buy what works for me.
So, and that's what I thought too. You know what? I'm going to buy what works for me.
Yep.
My body will tell me. Yep. And so far, so good. And the insects, they're not happy. I tell you what, they're not happy.
Right. We
can
research and read and do what's, we can educate ourselves, but you have to listen to your body. The muscle test, you can ask, like, is this good for me? Is this what I need? Like, that is what it boils down to. You got to talk to your body. Your body will tell you.
Well, what do you think about sweating to get rid of parasites or kill them?
Won't get rid of parasites. Sweating will help you detox, but you still have to eradicate the parasites. You can use oregano oil. You can use cloves. You can use garlic. You can use. There's all different kinds of natural things that you can do. What did you?
I just wondered if the heat would affect them.
Oh yeah, they hate heat because with Lyme, they lower your body temperature, or any parasites will. But see, they have that biofilm around them. It's a protective shell. You have to bust and remove that biofilm. Garlic does that. Oregano oil does that. Cloves do that. Black walnut hull. You have to bust that biofilm. You have to eradicate the persister cells. If you don't do those two things right there, you will not eradicate them from your body. They will stay.
So what does
cells? I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, Angie. I'm just wondering how the heat affects them. What does the heat do? If you're having saunas and stuff, what does it do to them?
It kills them. They don't like it. They can't tolerate the heat. They will lower your body temperature for years. Like growing up,
Did you say it kills them?
Mm-hmm. But you have to get them out of your body. Like if you're treating, when I was treating, they told me I had to take detox baths like I was supposed to do every day, but I only had the energy to do like 3 or 4 times a week. They said the temperature of the water had to be at least 104 degrees. I had to sweat in the bath.
Right. Okay.
So because the sweating along with the treatment that I was doing with all the herbs and stuff was going to help eradicate them. So the temperature, like they lower your body temperature. I always had a normal body temperature, but when I was sick, I never could figure out why I was always cold, why my temperature was like 97.6, 96.7. It was always so low. It even get down to like 95.6. It was really weird.
And that's actually a good way to chart yourself. Dr. Gorgeous made me do that too. Yes. He said, I want you to take your body temperature for 7 days so I can have a view. And he went, your body temperature is very low.
Yes.
This is also a sign of your co-infections and parasitical activity within your body.
Too.
Yes.
They'll lower your blood pressure. My blood pressure was always so low. My doctors always thought I had great blood pressure. Come to find out, it was co-infections that was lowering my blood pressure.
Yes, exactly. And there are people like myself, look, I actually got a wave of nausea with the heat blanket because I thought, like, if I sweat, I'll vomit. That would really disturb my body. But there are other people that could, with Lyme that could tolerate it quite well.
Right.
So it just depends on the individual.
Yes.
Well, and
Yeah.
neurological Lyme, like, some people say, oh, you got to got to do those cold showers. I couldn't tolerate cold. Cold made me
Oh my God, no.
so bad. And,
Can't do it.
like you had to do the hot bath and then, oh, you got to do the cold shower. I couldn't do it. Like it was like excruciating pain. And so,
That's torture.
yeah, it's torture. Exactly. Torture. So it's,
Mm.
there's, you got to do, that's why I say you got to do what's best for you and you got to listen to your
Yeah.
body. And
Sure.
Yeah.
so,
And
And what do
use
you
your
think?
instincts.
and I have
Use
to
your
Yes.
be careful with
instincts.
the hot water baths because I got to where I couldn't feel hot or cold. So I scalded myself because I couldn't
Wow.
No.
feel how hot it was. So it
Look,
was, you're listening to these
I
doctors.
had you detox to get the bugs out, which is, part of my collection,
Yeah.
out of the bath water. And I have, white sheets always. I pick them off there with tweezers. But I wouldn't have the bath too hot because I know it'll make me throw up.
Yep.
It was a temperature that was great for me with Epsom salts and borax, and it's still got those things coming out of my skin. So, the heat thing, I don't know. The bath still worked, is
Well,
what
I
I'm
had a
Yeah.
saying,
doctor,
Yeah.
without
these were Lyme
scalding
doctors
myself.
that were telling me to do this stuff. And I even had a Lyme doctor that had me use too much Epsom salt once. And I had to get out of the tub so fast because I had it coming out both ends. She upset
Yeah, yeah.
my
Oh,
magnesium and potassium. Like when you're that sick, but I was really, really sick then too, but it's like
yes.
it, you're listening to the doctors. You think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I
So,
hope you know that doctors don't know
no,
unless they have Lyme disease themselves.
yeah,
How do they know?
true. Or they
They
have
don't.
like a spouse or
They can't
something.
tell you. Yeah.
Mm.
Look,
There's
no.
also the theory about sorry.
Bye, Holly.
There's also the theory about immune systems and that we don't have an immune system, in fact, but we are a healing system. So our bodies are self-healing, and as long as we provide them what they need, they can take care of anything. They can heal from anything. And so it's not actually an immune system that we have a respiratory system, we have a cardiac system, a digestive system, but there's a school of thought that says we don't actually have an immune system. We are just naturally self-healing. And things get thrown out of balance by toxins and poisons coming in. But if we treat the body in a way that it can remove those things, give it everything it needs to heal, then it self heals. So I just wanted to add that in, because there's also the no virus theory. That there's actually
Terrain theory is another thing that I really,
yeah.
really want to look into as well.
There's a book called The Contagion Myth that says that there is no such thing as a contagious whatever.
Yes.
But we can be poisoned, but there's no contagious illnesses.
I have I understand all of that. But I also know that I saw my own blood and I saw the bacteria. I saw the stuff in my blood. I even saw my blood when it looked like it had shards of glass in it. They couldn't hardly draw my blood because it was so toxic and I was so sick. They could hardly
Was it
draw
very sticky? Very sticky as
It was
well?
very sticky and
Yes.
it looked like it had shards of glass in it. And I was like,
Yes.
they showed me my blood in the doctor's office and I was like, what is that? And they're like, you're very toxic, you're very sick, like it had, and I was like, but I was near death at this time. So
Mhm.
I know that those things exist. I understand what you're saying because we can heal ourselves. But at this moment in time, we have been poisoned. We have all these
Yeah.
metals, chemicals, and toxins. Parasites
Yeah.
Over here.
are not supposed to be in us. Parasites are supposed to
No.
take care of the heavy metals, chemicals, and toxins. So we have parasites in us because we have the heavy metals, chemicals, and toxins in us. So I 100% believe we can heal ourselves, 100%.
Mm.
And because we're spiritual beings, but we're still in a human body. So
Yes.
our immune
It's just a,
system, like 80% of our immune system's in our gut. If you don't have a healthy gut, you're not going to be healthy in general. You've got to have a healthy gut. You have to have your human body healthy in order for
yeah.
your human body to be healthy, in order for your spiritual body. I say it all the time. It's mind, body, heart, and soul way to healing. All of those things are a connection to healing. You can't just do the spiritual. You can't just do the physical. You got
I
to do
agree.
all of it.
Yeah.
have
Yeah. It
to
was
do
really
it.
just a comment on immune systems and whether or not that's a real thing, or I agree, we can get poisoned, all kinds of things can be put into us that harm us, but it's I guess what I was putting it forward to suggest that our immune system can't be damaged necessarily if we don't have one, but we can still be poisoned and toxified and so on. However, because there's no immune system to damage, and the fact that we are self-healing, to me that's kind of more of a hopeful, or I mean, I don't know if we have an immune system or not. I'm just putting that
It's a
forward.
fascinating
It's an
question.
interesting theory.
It is fascinating. But how would that be
Yeah.
if we didn't, like with Lyme destroys your immune system, or if you wanted to talk about like the jab. The jab was designed
Yeah, but
to
is it
destroy the
destroying an immune
system.
system, or is it just making us very toxic and unwell, and we have to detoxify and get the poisons out? That's
From what I understand, I saw this. I'll have to send it to you, Kristen. I saw this video years ago about the jab, and this guy was doing a football analogy, and he was showing how it was designed so that the body only responded to the virus, and it was designed to destroy the immune system. And when I did Dr. Armin's interview earlier this month, he was talking about this exact thing, because he was saying each time you got one of those boosters, it was not boosting anything, it was destroying the immune system.
yeah, yes,
And
I've heard that. Yeah,
so, in
it's
like,
just an interesting
yeah,
food for thought,
Yeah,
really.
it is. It is. It's really quite fascinating.
he was saying that it was doing something with the spike proteins. The spike proteins were like being reactivated in the body.
Right. Yeah.
And the whole thing with like the nicotine gum or the patches is with the COVID, it was turning off your nicotine cell receptors in your body. So the gum goes in and it turns them back on. You keep using the patches, you keep chewing the gum, it's going to keep them turned on. So you're not going to get sick. You're not. So there's something to it. And I understand what you're saying. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. So I'm talking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
so
I know.
interesting. Because we've been lied to about so much, and I sit there and I hear these theories, and I think, well, I don't know what's true, but that's an interesting theory, and
Right.
maybe there's no immune system, and maybe contagions
That's
don't
it.
exist. I'm open to that.
We don't know what's true, and people like us are stumbling for information because we're all looking for it. Instinctively, we know it's wrong.
Right.
Everything is wrong. So there's me with herpes, because to me, herpes is cruel, but Epstein-Barr is just the most dreadful thing that knocks you off your feet for a year or more. Some people less, some people more, but it's cruel.
Like,
they're all cruel.
We got exposed to that by having the kissing disease when we were teenagers, right?
That's right. Glandular fever.
Right. So
mononucleosis. Yeah.
Why is that
kissing
just a normal thing that everybody gets? But then because I had mono when I was like 18, I think. And then when I had like a allergic reaction to a medicine. And then I remember when I was going to the doctors after I'd gotten bit by the tick, they were saying, well, you have Epstein-Barr. And I'm like, what? Like, they were picking up on that. And then all of a sudden they said, no, it was gone. Well, I know Dr. Armin and Dr. Darren Ingalls both. They say that Lyme will make Epstein-Barr flare and it will show up on your rash test.
Reactivate.
Yes.
It reactivates over and over and
And
over again
they both have said
in
it's like
Lyme
a
people.
fake positive because it stays in your body. So it's like the spike proteins. The spike proteins are like reactivating it.
I deliberately go and have tests just at the I hate doctors, but I like to see what the tests are saying, and I know when I can feel it.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. And, a test will come back negative. And then I'll go back and I'll go, well, no, I don't, just do it again. So they'll do it again, it comes back positive. Like, who's running these tests anyhow? And, are the tests correct?
You should
I
talk.
don't know. I don't trust anything any longer.
No, you should talk to Dr. Ingalls though, because he has Lyme and he then developed MS after Lyme.
Oh,
And he's a natural doctor. So he has a lot of good information.
that's dreadful. Just
I
dreadful.
know. Like, and that's once you get one autoimmune disease, it sets you up for other ones. What's that all about? And there again.
Well, that's it.
So
And we're trying so hard to protect ourselves from everything out there. I find that I go out less and less because I don't want to be sick. I don't want to pick something up. I don't want to have to struggle with something else again, which we do.
Right.
And, differentiate, is this the Lyme playing up, or do I have, a flu thing, or like what's going on now? And then I noticed too in Australia that depending on the amount of chemtrails that are happening, there's all sorts of other illnesses that are happening with children and people that don't have Lyme disease.
Mm-hmm.
So
what kind of illnesses?
we're just being sprayed like bugs with viruses, with bacteria, with parasites, with Morgellons.
Yeah.
I think so too.
And ticks. I know for sure that they've sprayed ticks.
Well, the interesting thing I'm in Melbourne, and I've noticed that there's virtually no insects left. There's also hardly any birds. I'm in an outer suburb, eastern suburb of Melbourne. There's very few birds, even compared to 2 years ago. And there's hardly any insects. Like, you'd always get a spider in the house or something, and they've all gone. Yep. But I noticed that there's you still get the clothing moths and also these tiny, weeny black insects that I've never seen before. They come in through the bathroom window. If I leave the bathroom window ajar, I see them on the ledge. Teeny weeny little insect, not so small obviously that you can't see it, and they just crawl along. I've got no idea what they are. I've never seen them before, but they're the only insects virtually that I see. Very few flies or mosquitoes in the summer. And then
if you'd like to send me one of those bugs, I'd be interested to have a look at it under the microscope. Is it about the size of a pinhead? Yeah. I've got a feeling that's a Morgellon spider.
Really?
I can have, chemtrails. We know we're being sprayed with all this stuff.
Well,
I'm happy to look at it if you put it in a specimen jar.
All right, I'll collect some. Okay.
Yeah. Don't touch them, please, just in case they're alive and they burrow.
They are alive because they crawl.
But oh, there you go.
I think I've squashed them once or twice with a finger.
Okay.
But I won't do that anymore.
Did it bleed?
No, there was no blood.
Okay. Well, then it didn't bite you. That's a good thing.
No.
Okay. Yes, if you would like me to have a look at it and compare it to my Morgellon species, and there's heaps of them, I'll have a look at it.
Well, the other thing that interests me is whenever I wipe the windowsills, because when it's warmer weather, I have the windows open all the time, and it doesn't take long before there's a film on the windowsill, and when I wipe it, it's black on the cloth, and I look at that and I think, what is that? Like, there's not black soot floating around in the air from nature. it's got to be chemtrail stuff. I recently bought a children's microscope set at the op shop that I found at the op shop because I thought I want to look at this stuff under the microscope. I haven't used
Of course
it,
you do. Yes.
but yeah, it could, I'm suspicious about that. And then I see these bugs coming in. I think, I've never seen these little bugs before. In my life, I'm in my 60s, and it's like, where did these come from? What are they? A new kind of
It's a
bug?
sci-fi. It's a sci-fi world we're living in now, for sure.
Yeah.
Feels
Is
like
it a little, a tiny little drone or something spying on me?
No, I'd say it was come out of the chemtrails, and it's a Morgellon insect, and we'll find
Yeah,
out.
could it be? That's a good point.
There
It could
you
be out of
go.
the chemtrails. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
I'll try and gather some up.
Cool.
Thank you.
Put a PDF in the chat for the CDS stuff from Miracle Products.
Can I?
No,
Did you say?
Natasha, she put in the chat
Oh,
a PDF about the CDS product from Miracle Products. The CDS
yes.
the
Chlorine dioxide.
yes.
Yeah.
Of what it was. Thank you, Kristen.
That's okay.
My brain's getting tired. I love you guys, but it's like 11:30. I'm gonna have to go.
Yes, I know, and it's been I find that sharing information like this is a good spark to creativity. It means that, despite my dementia that I don't have now, it has just given me the impetus, and I do have some notes on my forensic board. People who come in this place think I'm mad, it's like, Julie's got shit everywhere, but it's all, it's all filed beautifully there.
Right.
And my girlfriends go, how do you know this stuff? Like, no, that's weird. I'm going, yeah, it is weird, but this is actual fact. But it spurs me on to, try and find out more about this herpes thing and a couple of other sinister things that I'm still looking at that's not right. There's nothing right about this world anymore, and a big crash has to happen and everything reset as far as I'm concerned, and I think we're getting close to it, quite frankly. But in the meantime, I guess, are we light workers, or what are we? That our job is to continue researching and to find the true evidence as opposed to the lie evidence. And the lie evidence is so full in your face, it's hard to get past. But once you've got those stepping stones where you know where to look, it gets a lot easier. Like, who would have thought that the Red Cross had helped Mengele get to Australia? For God's sakes. You can find things if you're determined enough to do so.
Oh, yes.
Angie, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Julie. I'm looking forward to having you back, and I'm looking forward to having the roundtable lives with Jamie's going to come on and join in those, and Doug,
Fabulous,
and Rachel, and whoever else I can scrounge up to be involved in that, because those will be really, really good.
It's a party. It's a party.
It'll be a party. So I know June 5th, Jamie J is going to be my guest on Spiritual Chat Live. I call her the human library because she reads so many books and she has so much information on everything. And we're just going to be talking about, yes, we're going to be talking about like healing and the power of your words. So it's going to be fascinating. So thank everybody for being here. And
thank you,
sure to
Angie.
like, share, and subscribe. Bye.
Nice to meet you. Bye.